نحمده ونصلي على رسوله الكريم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله ولتنظر نفس ما قدمت لغد واتقوا الله إن الله خبير بما تعملون. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم: اغتنم خمسا قبل خمس، شبابك قبل حرمك، وسقمك وصحتك قبل سقمك، وغناءك قبل فقرك، وفراغك قبل شغلك، وحياتك قبل موتك، أو كما قال عليه الصلاة والسلام. My dear respected brothers, first of all, we should thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah has blessed us with Iman. Allah has blessed us with this life. And He has given us the understanding of the oneness of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I'm a teacher. I have one of my students, he's a convert. And he is born handicapped as well. He shares the story. He shared it yesterday actually. It's been only a few days since he came. He mentioned that about his childhood and how he grew up and where he grew up. And he mentioned that my mom and my father, they got in an accident and my father passed away. And so the mom couldn't live with the grief after a while, and plus having 4 boys or 4 brothers. So she couldn't live with the grief. And taking care of 4 boys as well, it overwhelmed her, and then eventually she took her own life. And then he mentioned that last week, one of my brothers, is older than him, he got in a fight in a bar, and he went to prison. He killed someone mistakenly, and he went to prison. Being in the prison, Allahu A'lam what went through his mind, he committed suicide as well. And the reason he did that was because he didn't see any hope after this, because his brothers, as an older brother, he has a younger brother now. To them, the purpose of life was fun. That's his own word. That's what that's what they think. When you ask them what was the purpose of life, they say they want to have fun only. So his brother, he killed himself because he saw, fun is over now. And he was like, I'm born handicapped, so I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I was in the hospital. I still ask myself this question, that if the purpose of life was for fun, then what's the point of my existence then? Because I can't have fun. So we take the blessing of Allah and knowing Allah and the purpose of life very lightly. Because everyone comes to their own conclusion if you don't have divine revelation, divine help. To some is money, to some is wealth, and to some is fame, and to some is probably drinking and have fun. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He told us our purpose. Our purpose of existence is to recognize Him, know Him, worship Him. And the hadith I mentioned, and the ayah I mentioned in the beginning, there's a reason I mentioned these 2 ayahs in the hadith in the beginning. About a year ago, I was in Ohio. I still live in Ohio, and I moved over here for the madrasa that we have. I was sitting in the masjid, and a brother came to me, one of the musallis. He came to me after Asr, and he was extremely sad and extremely overwhelmed. I could tell by his face something has happened. And then he started, he sat down in front of me saying, you're so blessed that you're able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this age. And he wasn't that older. He was about 36, 37, not that old. So he was like, you're so blessed that Allah gave you the tawfiq to, be in the masjid right now, read Quran, and, you dhikr, this and that. This is his words, not my own words. This was him. He was just, and I was surprised at the fact he just started speaking like this. And then he went on and he said, and then he asked me about the question about will. How do you prepare a will? Obviously, the question is not really bad. The question is the right question, but obviously looking at the person's face, looking at the situation, and the way he's coming up with the question, it then gave me something has happened to me. Something, Allah knows best what happened, but then we started talking and he started talking about his life, and he was like, you know what, there was a time in my life I thought, having a good job, having good clothes, and recently he went to Turkey to get a hair transplant, right? So he was telling me about that. I just went to Turkey and got a hair transplant and this and that, subhanAllah. And then he came back from a trip. He had told me what happened then. He said, I started feeling a stomach ache, and eventually I went to go to the doctor. He told me I have stage 4 cancer. Imagine, like 35 years old. Many times we go in life thinking I have what? 70 years, 80 years, 90 years. Because my purpose right now is to make money, make wealth. Have a good house, have a good car. People can call me this Saab, that Saab, Dr. Saab, Engineer Saab, Professor Saab, whatever Saab, Lawyer Saab, right? This is what Shaitan tells us this. That make this your purpose. Have a big business. Have, my kids, mashallah, all of them are doctors. Oh, my daughter, she's mashallah this, and my son-in-law is this, and my grandson plays in whatever, right? He does whatever. This is what Shaitan tells us, that this is the purpose of your existence. And Allah says what in the Quran? Ya, O believers, Ya ayyuhalladhina amanu, ittaqullah. Fear Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, have taqwa, bring taqwa in your life, attain taqwa. وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. When I say tomorrow, like tomorrow I'll go to the house, or tomorrow I'll go shopping, or tomorrow I'm going to do this, or usually when we say tomorrow, what it means tomorrow, right? Like I'm going to do this tomorrow. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioning in this ayah that what are you going to bring forth tomorrow? Everyone should see for themselves what they're going to bring tomorrow. What are they going to bring forth tomorrow? As if death is going to happen anytime. We live in this illusion, like Shaitan, like a rubber band. You stretch it, Shaitan tells you this is your life. When you release it, what happens? Come back to its original form, which is nothing. Allah says in the Quran, what? إِنَّهُمْ يَرَوْنَهُ بَعِيدًا وَنَرَاهُ قَرِيبًا. They see it far, we see it close. Just 2 weeks ago, when the student, he comes to masjid, I'm Imam al Masjid as well. Urama Musalli, his brother, he went to take out his trash, he collapsed. Brain dead, died after 2 days. He was only about 35 years old or so, 31 years old, he told me, I think so. This is what life is. Many of us, we think we have like a long time. No problem, I still have 40 years to go. I still have 30 more years to go. But in reality, Allah says, وَلْتَنْظُرْ نَفْسٌ مَا قَدَّمَتْ لِغَدٍ. What are you bringing forth for tomorrow? Then Allah again says taqwa again, وَاتَّقُوا. Bring taqwa. Fear Allah. إِنَّ اللَّهَ خَبِيرٌ بِمَا تَعْمَلُونَ. Allah knows what are you doing. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ. Imagine, this is the story I mentioned in the beginning. This ayah, subhanAllah, hits different now. وَلَا تَكُونُوا كَالَّذِينَ نَسُوا اللَّهَ فَانْسَاهُمْ أَنفُسَهُم. Don't be like those people who have forgotten themselves. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala made them forget themselves. This is what Shaitan is telling us today. Brother, make your life. Brother, work on your on your wealth. Work on build a name for yourself. Build wealth for yourself. In reality, we don't even know we have a day tomorrow or not. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, take advantage of 5 before the 5. One of them is what? Your life before your death. Many of us living in this life don't even know where we're going. We're just living. We're going with the flow. And we don't even stop to question, like, what's the purpose of my existence? I'm pretty sure it's not to build wealth only. I'm pretty sure of the existence. I should be greater than that. Because if building buildings and infrastructures is an important part of my life, then the bees are doing a better job than us. The ants can build better system than us. What's the difference then over here? If our purpose is to have strength and elephants are more stronger than you. So what's the purpose then? Why am I living? If the purpose of to have babies, then dogs have more babies than anyone. At one time they can have 9 babies. So that's not again, that's not a purpose anymore as well. So what's the purpose? My brothers and sisters, the purpose is وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. Our purpose is for your creation is what? For you recognizing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because when we leave, what happened? You leave everything behind. Nothing goes with you. Your kids will not go with you. Your name will not go with you. The only thing that goes with you, your amal salihat. وَالْعَصْرِ إِنَّ الْإِنسَانَ لَفِي خُسْرٍ. Allah swears by time. I swear by time. Every human being is in destruction, is in loss, except those إِلَّا الَّذِينَ آمَنُوا وَعَمِلُوا الصَّالِحَاتِ, except those that do believe in Allah and do good deeds. Ask yourself, how much time are you investing with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? How much time are we spending with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Today, you and I, we have time for Netflix, we have time for our friends, we have time for football, we have time for so many different things, we have jobs. When was the last time we sat there with the Quran? When was the last time we sat doing dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? When was the last time we sat alone, thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, talking to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? We have time for our family. Allah commanded Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the Quran what? وَأْمُرْ أَهْلَكَ بِالصَّلَاةِ وَاصْطَبِرْ عَلَيْهَا لَا نَسْأَلُكَ رِزْقًا نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُكَ. Tell your Rasulullah, you and your family members, command them of salah and have sabr on that. Don't worry about sustenance, we will provide sustenance. Today you and I, we have exchanged a job with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We took the job of worshipping on leaving, we left the job of worshiping and take the job of sustenance on ourselves. That's why we are disturbed. That's why we are worried. That's why we are concerned. That's why we are like lost. Because we have exchanged places. We have to come to a purpose. Purpose is to recognize Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Purpose is to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Purpose is to devote your life to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam mentioned hadith what? Not a single time that will go by you will have any regret over it except for the time in Jannah. The only time you regret in Jannah is the time you spend without the remembrance of Allah. Imagine you're in Jannah, no regrets, but the only time you will be regretful is what? When there was no Allah in your life. اقتربت الساعة اقترب للناس حسابهم وهم في غفلة معرضون. Allah mentioned in the Quran. Ya Rasulullah, what's that? These people, the hisab is coming near them. But these people are what? In delusion. They're in this illusion, they're in this ghafla. Negligence. All of us are negligent. All of us are sleeping, my brothers. The only time our eyes will open when the Malakul Maut come, then we will see the reality. Today we have to find, my brothers, this dunya we are chasing after, this dunya we are running after, wallahi, is not going to come in our hands. The only thing will come in your hands is what Allah has destined for you. Not more, not less. Allah gave dunya to Fir'aun. Allah gave dunya to Qarun. Allah don't care about this dunya. But Allah only gave deen to people who show Allah that, Ya Allah, I want this deen. Who have the value for this deen. Who had the struggle for this deen. وَالَّذِينَ جَاهَدُوا فِينَا لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. لَنَهْدِيَنَّهُمْ سُبُلَنَا. When Qarun had, this dunya, this world, his wealth, gave him this illusion. Allah mentioned in the Quran that when he used to walk with his treasures, the keys of the treasures, not the treasure itself, the keys of the treasure used ulul aswati min al-quwwa. The people, they used to be army just to carry his keys. But what happened in the end? He didn't take it with him. Fir'aun said, what happened to him in the end? Drowned. But Musa came came as a victorious. My brothers, the success of us, all Muslims, our success only lies in what? Following the ways of Rasulullah and following the commands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah's victory is with those people. Even with this current situation we're living in right now, my brothers, Allah's victory will only come. Allah's nusrah will only come if we all become humble in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stop crying in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. When was the last time we cried? When was the last time the tear came in my eyes out of the fear of Allah? When was the last time the tear came out of the shawq of Jannah? We see Sahaba crying in the Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, a prime example for all of us sitting here. وَقَدْ كَانَ لَكُمْ فِي رَسُولِ اللَّهِ أُسْوَةٌ حَسَنَةٌ. Uswatun Hasana, the best example for you is in Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam. When Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam in the night time goes, he would stand up for tahajjud. To the extent his feet used to become swollen. Aisha mentioned that Rasulullah when he used to start his prayer in the night, he used to cry to the extent his beard used to become wet, his lap used to become wet, the floor used to become wet. And this is a person who Allah has forgiven. This is a person Allah, you know what, even if there was any mistakes, it's all forgiven. You and I, my brothers, we don't even know how we're going to die, what situation we're going to die in. But you and I, we have the most, most, we could say that, we have we use the mercy of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala too much, excessively. Yes, Allah is Ghafur Rahim, my brothers, but your amal matters as well. Your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala matters as well. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam hadith, what? On a day of judgment, you will be placed in your grave, what will happen? Your lips will be sealed. So you can't even lie anymore. Whatever's in your heart will come out that day. So if you only work for dunya, if you put a sponge in the water, what will come out of that when we squeeze it? Water will come out. And we put it in the milk, what will come out? Milk will come out. Don't expect that you put dunya and then in the end Allah's muhabbat will come out of that. Allah's muhabbat will only come when you put Allah's muhabbat in your heart. The connection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will only come if you put the connection of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in your heart. You can't live like a shaitan and die like a saint. No, it won't happen like that. We have to invest the time of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We have to invest, seclude some time for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we see that in Sahaba's life. Radiyallahu anhum wa radu. Allah mentioned in the Quran, these people are what? Allah is happy with them, they're happy with Allah. My brothers, this blessing of rada of Allah, the pleasure of Allah will only be given in Jannah once we enter into Jannah. Allah gave this to Sahaba in this dunya, that I am pleased with them, they're pleased with me. But despite that, you see what Umar radiallahu anhu, وَيْلٌ لِعُمَرْ إِن لَمْ يَغْفَرْ لَكَ رَبُّكَ. May Umar be destroyed if Allah didn't forgive you. If Allah didn't forgive you, you will be destroyed. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu said what? I wish I was a tree. I wish I was a hair on a believer's body, so there will be no hisab for me. This was the condition of the Sahaba. This is the condition of the Ashra Mubashara. They got the glad tidings of Jannah in this dunya. And you and I, we're living in such a life of, just moving with the flow and not questioning what's next now. My brothers, this is the time we have to come. Don't think, the people who have left us, we're not going to go anywhere. Remember, Shaitan tells us this. Oh yeah, that person died, you're not going to die. When we pick up a janazah, we never imagine that one day someone will be picking me up as well. We never imagine that I'll be placed in the grave as well. We only think that this happened to this brother, this about it. We have to come to the realization that, there is a place we have to go to. There is one day we have to stand in front of Allah. يَوْمَ يَقُومُ النَّاسُ لِرَبِّ الْعَالَمِينَ. One day we have to stand in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. يَوْمَ لَا تَمْلِكُ نَفْسٌ لِنَفْسٍ شَيْئًا وَالْأَمْرُ يَوْمَئِذٍ لِلَّهِ. That day is what? No one owns anything to anyone. No one can save you. يَا أَيُّهَا النَّاسُ اتَّقُوا رَبَّكُمْ وَاخْشَوْا يَوْمًا لَا يَجْزِي وَالِدٌ عَنْ وَلَدِهِ. Oh believers, oh people, fear that day where no son can help their father and no father can help the son. What Allah, Ibrahim says in Surah Al-Shu'ara, يَوْمَ لَا يَنْفَعُ مَالٌ وَلَا بَنُونَ إِلَّا مَنْ أَتَى اللَّهَ بِقَلْبٍ سَلِيمٍ. On that day, no son will help you, no wealth will help you, except those who come with qalbun salim, pure, rectified, beautiful heart in front of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's it. There's nothing else. So we have to train, especially now, Ramadan is right around the corner. This is the best time to sit down and readjust our life. Bring some balance in your life. Bring a balance where you have Allah as well, your job as well, your family as well, you yourself as well. We have to find, there's no point running and running and running and running. No. My brothers, this dunya is, if you run after it, it will never come to you. And when you go to Allah, it's like a shadow. When you go towards if you run after your shadow, you will never catch it. But you start running, face the sun, what will happen? It will come to you. This is an example of dunya. When you run after it, my brothers, it will not come to you. Go towards Allah, Allah will bring dunya in your heart, in your feet. This is the promise of Allah. نَحْنُ نَرْزُقُ. We will give you sustenance. وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا وَيَرْزُقْهُ مِنْ حَيْثُ لَا يَحْتَسِبُ. Whoever brings taqwa in their life, piety in their life, righteousness in their life, the love of Allah in their life, Allah will make ways for them from they have never imagined. Allah will give them sustenance from places they have never even thought of. This is the promise of Allah. My promise could be wrong. The president promise could be wrong, the CEO's promise could be wrong, but this is Allah's promise. Based on if someone, a big guy come tells you, some CEO guy or for example, president come tells you, I'll do this for you. Without any doubt, we'll believe him because we know he can do it. My brothers, this is Allah's promise. You bring taqwa in your life, Allah will give dunya in your life. Allah will take care of the dunya and akhirah. Not just akhirah. Allah has promised that the people of who put themselves in front of Allah. If you put Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Allah will send down the Nusra. Allah will send the Nusra. Same thing happened in Badr. What happened? Today we're crying, Ya Allah, send down to help for Palestine, send down for Kashmir, send down. Yes, we have to. But we have to change our life as well. We have to bring those a'mal that those people are doing. We have to bring those connections. We have to bring those eyes that cried in front of Allah. We have to bring those limbs that, submit to Allah. Today, our desires, our limbs, they have not submitted to Allah. We do what we feel like doing. Then we say, Allah, you do what we want to do. We want you to do. It doesn't work like that. It's give and take. It's deen from deen. Deen means what? Deen is what? Loan. Loan is what? When you do something, Allah will do something in return as well. So we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes us among those righteous believers. We ask Allah to allow us to understand that the shortness of this life and the internal life that's coming ahead of us. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to prepare for that time before it's too late. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to, make this Ramadan the best Ramadan of our life. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala allow us to see Ramadan inshallah first of all. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala open up the doors of rahmah and close the doors of his, his ghadab upon us. Wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إن الله وملائكته يصلون على النبي يا أيها الذين آمنوا صلوا عليه وسلموا تسليما اللهم صل على محمد عبدك ورسولك وصل على المؤمنين والمؤمنات والمسلمين والمسلمات وبارك على محمد وأزواجه وذريته قال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم أرحم أمتي بأمتي أبو بكر وأشدهم في أمر الله عمر وأصدقهم حياء عثمان وأقضاهم علي وفاطمة سيد نساء أهل الجنة والحسن والحسين سيدا شباب أهل الجنة وحمزة أسد الله وأسد رسوله رضوان الله تعالى عنهم أجمعين اللهم اغفر للعباس ولدي مغفرة ظاهرة باطنة لا تغادر ذنبا الله في أصحابي لا تتخذهم غرضا من بعدي فمن أحبهم فبحبي أحبهم ومن أبغضهم فببغضي أبغضهم وخير القرون قرني ثم الذين يلونهم ثم الذين يلونهم اللهم ربنا آتنا في الدنيا حسنة وفي الآخرة حسنة وقنا عذاب النار اللهم ربنا لا تزغ قلوبنا بعد إذ هديتنا وهب لنا من لدنك رحمة إنك أنت الوهاب اللهم آت نفوسنا تقواها وزكها أنت خير من زكاها أنت وليها مولاها اللهم حبب إلينا الإيمان وزينه في قلوبنا اللهم كره إلينا الكفر والفسوق والفجور والعصيان اللهم اجعلنا من الراشدين اللهم اجعلنا من المتقين اللهم اجعلنا من الصالحين اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان اللهم أصلح أحوال المسلمين في كل مكان خاصة في فلسطين يا أكرم الأكرمين اللهم انصر أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اغفر أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم احفظ أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اهد أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم اشف أمة محمد صلى الله عليه وسلم اللهم أكرمنا ولا تهنا اللهم زدنا ولا تنقصنا عباد الله رحمكم الله إن الله يأمر بالعدل والإحسان وإيتاء ذي القربى وينهى عن الفحشاء والمنكر والبغي يعظكم لعلكم تذكرون فاذكروا الله يذكركم وادعوه يستجب لكم ولذكر الله تعالى أعلى وأولى وأعز وجل وأهم وأتم وأكبر أقم الصلاة